We are at peace, we are prosperous, and we live on an island. So why do we bother doing foreign policy at all? Why did I visit Kenya and Ethiopia last week, and Poland and Romania the week before that? Why do the ministers of this department travel around the world? Why do we have officials across the globe? Well, let's go back to first principles and remind ourselves what we are collectively trying to achieve. For most of our history, the world has been dominated by the brutal maxim that the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. Might was always right, and power was all that counted. And nations down the centuries seem grimly compelled to vindicate Shakespeare's warning. Power into will, will into appetite, and appetite, a universal wolf, so doubly seconded with will and power, must make perforce a universal prey, and last, eat up himself. And as Foreign Secretary of a former imperial power, I know that in the past we succumbed to the temptation of will and appetite. And none of us can forget how in the 20th century aggressive tyrants made the globe their prey, starting 2 world wars and leaving over 100 million people dead. Consider for a moment the alternative world that Vladimir Putin yearns for. The reason why his onslaught against Ukraine offends every fibre of my being is not simply that it's morally abhorrent, although of course it is. And it has nothing to do with the accident of geography that Putin is waging his war in Europe. No. What really chills the blood is that he is prepared to destroy the laws that protect every nation and, by extension, every person across the globe. Putin's goal is to turn back the clock to an era when might was right and big countries treat their neighbours as prey. He is waging a 19th century war of imperial conquest, deliberately debasing international conduct, utterly contemptuous of today's values. And by attacking one of the world's biggest producers of food and fertilizer, he is driving up global prices and inflicting still greater hardship on some of the poorest people around the world. In the end, all our fortunes will depend on a stable and peaceful international order. My generation was born long after the Second World War, and we reached adulthood just as the Cold War was coming to an end. We stand on the shoulders of wise and compassionate leaders who created the laws and institutions that prevented a universal relapse into the old order where the strong prey upon the weak. Now, the UK must work with our international allies and new partners to sustain the best of this achievement, which seeks to protect every country and create the setting for everyone to prosper. That's why our diplomats and our development experts make the effort. That's why I fly somewhere almost every week. That's why the ministers in this department do likewise. That's why I'm striving to build the partnerships of the future so that our country can flourish alongside our friends, both old and new. Thank you.